some billionaires.
Your first hour with Mullet Madjack will be fantastic, dashing through the levels, taking heads off robots at a breakneck pace. It's an incredibly fun time. Unfortunately, that steam doesn't last long, and Mullet blows its load on content far quicker than you'd hope, with its main campaign clocking in at around 2 to 3 hours roughly, and all other content being spins on that core gameplay loop like weapon randomizer or permadeath. True to its arcade inspirations, it is a game that appeals to those who enjoy improving their narrow slice of game through challenge runs or better times. Your objective is simple: climb the tower, rescue the princess of the modern age, aka an influencer. In this world, dopamine is your lifeline, and the viewers supply you with blood in exchange for entertainment. To put it simply, you have 10 seconds to live, and every kill will give you more seconds. The flashier, the better. Headshots, nutshots, environmental kills. With that, race through the floors, annihilating all robots that oppose you on your quest to save the girl. Every floor, select a new weapon or upgrade on your journey, and every 10 floors you get a boss fight and a checkpoint, and a new enemy type or hazard gets introduced. It dresses all this up in a late 80s, early 90s anime aesthetic while also riffing off 80s action heroes with the one-liners from our protagonist, minus some modern day anachronisms sneaking in.
Go touch some grass.
Now, to talk about Mullet, we must obviously talk about its inspiration Post-Void, a 2020 release that is also aesthetically unique. Unique in a sense that it's the reason this video has an epilepsy warning. Both sprite-based, incredibly fast shooters on a 10-second timer that doubles as your health and is refilled on kills. Fast maps being run through that lets you pick a new weapon or skill at the end. And while it took me about 30 minutes to beat Post-Void, it came at a lovely price of €3. It's an assault on the senses that knows it and integrates that aspect into the speed of the gameplay. You are expected to be overwhelmed and confused. Hell, one of the enemies is a literal walking flashbang. I had my fun and I was satisfied. Now, Mullet Madjack sports a lofty €20 price tag, so I expected a more realized Post-Void that doesn't look quite so insane. And it is absolutely that. But is it enough to extend such an increase in price? Debatable. Mullet's main campaign will clock in at about 2 hours in length, throughout which you will see every mechanic the game has to offer. From there, your goal is to beat it again on harder difficulties or get as far as possible in the endless mode. When I was playing the demo with its opening quest for shoes, I expected the full game to be about going for multiple of these jobs, maybe about 3, and multiple prizes in differently uniquely themed areas. Instead, the entire game is this shoe quest in this one tower. It feels like the first chapter in a story that doesn't exist yet, which is disappointing now, but if the developer continues to expand upon the game, perhaps it will feel more fleshed out. If you don't care about gameplay time to price ratio, however, this is a strong recommend for an incredibly enjoyable couple of hours, because the actual meat of the gameplay is, and I cannot stress this enough, just so crisp and clean. Sliding feels smooth, kicks and environmental hazards for enemies to be launched into are a great innovation from Post-Void. The weapon upgrades are actually meaningful beyond a stat increase, with cool perks like the infinite ammo on pistol level 3 or shotgun, letting you cram a ton of shells into the gun to fire one super shot. Besides that, it's got some genre staples: wall running, grappling hook, and an air dash. Mechanics are grand, but what brings it all together is the style and the sound. The sprite work is gorgeous. There's so much expression and movement felt in their frames. The execution moves you can do upon enemies with various objects collide with a satisfying thunk and split-second delay to linger on that impact. Guns have a good kick to them, and the music complements the tone beautifully. I never felt pulled out of the 90s style by any tracks, and the menu theme Jack the Mullet Mad in particular is a standout. Style-wise, our protagonist and his car remind me of 1989's Riding Bean. The Peace Corp girl draws inspiration from Ranma, particularly Kodachi Kuno.
You read the terms and services of our app, right?
with a dash of Angel Cop. Also obviously Akira, but what Cyberpunk media isn't inspired by Akira? I don't know what the influencer girl's inspired by, sorry. The game is at its best when you are within the flow state, gunning down bots and dashing through rooms, seeing your health rise and fall with the flow of battle. Headshots and nutshots score additional points, encouraging attention to be paid as you proceed, and since your overall ranking is determined by the amount of bots you kill, the game seemingly encourages a methodical approach over speed and purely running past enemies to get to the end as fast as possible. But you can play either way, the ranking doesn't matter. By its very design, the action never stops, and the flow state only abates every 10 floors as you reach a story section. In these sections, you wander with a flashlight, free to wind down from the adrenaline-pumping action you just blasted through, and are almost always greeted with a boss fight. Unfortunately, all the boss fights in this game are quite bad. Doing a good FPS boss can be tricky, and this game does not do them well. Most games don't do them well. One of the few that I can think of is probably Destiny 2 raid bosses, shockingly. Bosses are way too weak and have way too few attacks. Every single one is defeated by zigzag jumping and shooting, besides the one puzzle boss. They are not even featured in the endless mode where I thought harder versions may be faced, so their inclusion feels half-baked. I appreciate everything about these slower sections except the fights themselves. From the creative ways the bosses are used to advance to the various details which can be spotted in the environment.
This is all a game, don't it see? Someone else is controlling you! Don't you feel that sometimes you're not moving on your own? Run, moderator! Run! Too late!
So what's here is mostly great, but that doesn't mean I wasn't disappointed. The fact that I saw almost everything the game had to offer in the demo is a damn shame, as the game doesn't really evolve beyond that initial concept. Firstly, if you're going into this for its roguelite potential, don't. The upgrades never reach the insane points they can in something like Isaac, and upgrades feel mostly independent with not too much synergizing going on. There isn't that many, and the ones that are around just aren't interesting enough. For example, a small chance to get akimbo weapons for 10 seconds when you drink a soda. I literally had this happen once to me when I took the perk, and having 2 weapons never even felt worth it, things die so quickly anyway. Except, you are completely invincible for those 10 seconds while you are wielding them. So on the blue moon that you actually get them, they are busted. I'd rather they proc more often and don't give that invincibility. 3% chance for enemies to explode. That's laughably low and mostly inconsequential when enemies die so easily and are rarely grouped anyway. Even post-Void's explosive upgrade feels useful since it's a guarantee on every enemy. In contrast, the slow motion when you have 3 seconds of life remaining perk is insanely powerful, leaving all other options in the dust. The upgrade where you can see the exit is also unnecessary considering how linear the game is and its strength, and how the levels flow so seamlessly in a straight line, with doors locking behind you means you literally can't get turned around, and thus the upgrade is complete bunk. Now in post-Void, this upgrade was useful considering how much of a visual lobotomy that game is, and with no doors it was easy to get turned around. The grapple pulls you to a targeted enemy and kicks them, which is handy, but being once a floor is a damn shame when the shield steal ability works on the many shield enemies you encounter and is insanely powerful as you barrel through the map at hyper speed. Here's the strategy for the upgrades really. Get slow time at 3 seconds, and ice grenade which bursts out when you're low on time. These synergize absurdly well and make you basically invincible. Other than that, do whatever. Personally, I take the aforementioned bulldoze ability and faster slides. While campaign ranks are based on kills, later floors of Endless basically necessitate speed as your timer reduces by 1 second every 10 floors. Weapon-wise, the balance is pretty good and varied. The shotgun is absolutely busted as it should be, and you do the marathon spin when you shoot. On the other side, I found the katanas awkward to swing. You'd think they'd have a big AoE being melee weapons, but no, you can miss them at point blank range. And sometimes they don't one-shot. Really not a fan. Hitting sprites with melee weapons just never feels good. Their main appeal is cheesing later floors of Endless mode with free spam and bullet deflection. Every gun does feel unique, with many requiring different playstyles. The plasma gun, pushing you back as you fire it, encourages a slower and methodical approach, while the SMG permits racing through levels, mowing down enemies, and running past those that survive the salvo. The game feels really good to play, kicking and blasting robots, but even an hour in, halfway through the campaign, I'd seen it all. There's only like 5 enemies really. Basic robots you shoot, chainsaw bots you shoot but don't let get close, invisible samurai bots you must kick into traps or sometimes just kill with bullets. I don't know why it works sometimes. Exploding eyeballs you must shoot from afar, shield guys you kick and then shoot, and the drones and spider bots, which are basically regular bots too. The game really could have done with maybe 2 or 3 more enemy types as it went. Level design wise, the tile sets are limited. You have your room with vent, big ramp, jumping puzzle wall run area, room full of acid or lava, laser room, and since it all takes place in the same tower, all the tile sets are incredibly similar, leading to a lack of visual variety which could have helped in this department. At most you see more of the outside as you climb higher and hazardous gaps become more apparent. The game could really do with some more variety in its locales thematically and mechanically. The rooms right now are easily memorized and were ingrained by Chapter 4, so more variety could easily be slotted in. Maybe an L-shaped room that curves, or a room with moving platforms you must hop across, or one that has some mild verticality. I'm just spitballing here. As it stands, Chapter 1 to Chapter 7 do not feel all that different in theme, even if the mechanics are shaken up by new enemies and hazards. That all sounded very negative. But despite all that, I was happy with my purchase, and I enjoyed my time despite the criticisms. While this game is a good baseline in much the same way Post Void was, I feel a Mullet Madjack 2 or expanded upon game of similar design is still waiting for us in this budding genre. Also, there's an amazing little unboxing option in the menu as you relive the old days of taking out a new game with a hefty manual. Sadly, it being virtual means it can't capture that haptic feel of the plastic in your hands. The game itself is short, and the enemy and level variance is small, so what brings up the replayability is the vast amount of modes. Harder difficulties like Insane make normal kills give no time, forcing you to adapt with headshots or environmental kills. An Endless mode also includes a weapon randomizer every floor mode and kicks only mode to relive Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Other than that, speedrunning and climbing leaderboards, so if you're a one and done campaign only kind of gamer, you're getting about 2 hours out of this game. As a heads up. The rest of the video is a spoiler discussion and analysis of the story and its themes, so if you're not interested in hearing that, you can go now. Bye bye, thanks for watching. We're moving on now. We should also discuss the story because I actually found it kind of interesting, which I wasn't expecting, thinking it would be no more than context to our gameplay. The surface level story of the game is incredibly simple. You are a moderator. You are hired by Peace Corp to rescue the girl from a bullet-headed robot. It's all live streamed and the presumably human chat keeps you alive with their adoration. From there, get to the top of the tower, kill the big bad and save the princess. As typical a motivation as you can get. The simplicity is the point, obviously. As you continue your ascent, hints at the true nature of this world bubble to the surface. Dopamine, consume, obey, what does it all mean?
Everyone likes a hero. Watching the heroes fall, though? Oh, they like that even more. Your courage, your death, just another product to be consumed. A few seconds of entertainment in a constant stream of bullshit.
After concluding the campaign, we get a final epilogue introduction to Endless mode as we repeat the same tasks of the main game in the Peace Corporation Tower instead. Upon dying there, a final meeting with our Peace Corp handler as she delivers the manifesto that forms the crux of this game's message.
Good boy. Like a robot that needs pings of electricity every moment to function, you need that sweet dopamine. You just can't stop playing, can you? You enjoyed all the adrenaline rush. In the last 200 years, we have disposed the common people of any sense of meaning. Propriety, land, ideology. You lost all those things with little promises of becoming rich fast. We make you work 8 hours a day to make you distracted, to make you desperate. Desperate to find any sense of meaning. Like a robot, we programmed you to seek that meaning in some stupid shoes. You leave your car, that girl, and everything else just for a promise of meaning. Then the robots came. We promised you a better future with robots, and you loved them for a time. With all the work made by AI, we truly made all men equals. Empty vessels of endless entertainment. What the first billionaire robots understand is that they don't need to eliminate mankind. Mankind already created a stage of unparalleled serfdom. They just needed to keep the lie going. The lie that maybe you will find meaning and purpose in the next show, the next game, the next life. That you'll feel better and complete like your ancestors after chasing a deer to make a good dinner. So full of urgency, so full of suffering, natural sensations, purpose, meaning. Just for that dopamine, you will desperately keep doing this in an endless cycle, won't you? So now, slave, I will make you my boyfriend. I always wanted a strong, silent type. You will be trapped here in an endless cycle of love. Congratulations on proving that you are not like these robots, are you? To finally pick your prize, just check this box. Go ahead. You can finally pick your prize. To prove that you are not my slave, just check the box.
Well, that wraps it up nicely. From what I can tell, this game is about the modern AI revolution and how it impacts the creative industries of our time, mixed with a critique of our dopamine-filled, short attention span world of the TikTok generation, chasing that thrill and submerging ourselves in distractions. The game itself demonstrates it perfectly. As you race through the halls blasting robots, you become one with the mullet and the flow state entrances you. The only thing pulling me out is the interludes with bosses and wandering with the flashlight. These stops are absent in endless mode to further drive the fact that Mullet is a slave to his own desire. Or rather, the player's desire as Mullet, and several other messages imply that we, the streamer, on some meta level, control him. The other main message of the story is the villain, Mr. Bullethead, performing a ritual to ascertain the existence of God.
If you live or die, it doesn't matter. And what are you doing this for again? A stupid pair of shoes? I don't blame you. Many robots would do the same to cover their brilliant metal bodies with skin. They engineer needs we do not have in order to enslave us as consumers. This cycle, though, will end. Our AI supercomputers are scouring the internet for all known magical sigils. And we are dropping your princess's virgin blood in all of them. Today we will prove, for once and for all, if any other world exists, we will have millions of chances to summon who knows what. Demons and chaos, perhaps even God!
Throughout the game, many robots question and worry about the existence of the soul, since they are sure for whatever reason they are built without one. Assumedly, this parallels real-life AI language and art that so closely mimic human expression yet fail miserably to attain it. I'm sure you know of that AI feel on a piece of generated art or the odd and sterile prose of ChatGPT. So if the existence of God is proven, then all the robots are screwed basically. And when Mr. Bullet assumes he has proven God's non-existence, he cries maniacally that billionaires are the only gods now.
The ritual is over! I tried everything! There is nothing beyond! We did all possible sigil combinations with her virgin blood. Nothing. No summon, no demons, no angels. This means one thing now. Billionaires like me are the only gods now!
Nothing is solved in the conclusion of Mullet Madjack. It's a staple of the cyberpunk genre to have hopeless endings in the face of the corpos and billionaires. Instead, our protagonist is trapped within the eternal dopamine cycle of endless mode, climbing the tower, dying and repeating to the streaming of adoring fans and his beloved corpo girl. And we the players inherently desire this, since it's what keeps the game going and fun for us. That kind of thing is very common in meta-narrative games, think Undertale or Superhot. Last thing to touch on for the story is the translation is rough. I initially thought it was on purpose to go with the 90s anime dub style of awkward translation, but no, the devs are Brazilian from what I could tell and their English simply isn't the best. I think it kinda adds to the aesthetic for aforementioned reasons, but some bits where the subtitles and voiceover didn't match bothered me.
The only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary.
Mullet Madjack is a game I was very excited for. Having played the Steam Next Fest demo, it served as a wonderful proof of concept, and I was excited to see what the full release would bring. Unfortunately, although it looks great, the main game ultimately feels underbaked, and it doesn't fully capitalize on the ideas or concepts it built in the demo. This might sound really negative, but I really did like the game. Hell, my biggest criticism is that I wanted more. More skills, more enemy types, more level variety, and some updates that have released have already added more modes and items to choose. I actually appreciate the short length. My assumption is the developers were operating on a limited enough budget, and instead of stretching game length out in the pursuit of value proposition, made a very refined 2 hours that feel content full despite lacking in length. Like a Mullet Madjack with this much content but even 6 hours long would feel stretched out and padded for time. So I respect the decision to not feature creep and instead make a short but sweet experience. Mullet Madjack is great. It's a bit overpriced, but it serves as a good beginning to a budding new genre of fast-paced movement shooters. If post-Void is Wolfenstein 3D, could this be Doom? Only time will tell, and I look forward to either revisiting a heavily updated Mullet or the developer's next project. Thanks for watching. Next time there's something that must thoroughly be put through the Elden Ringer. Bye bye.